Yep. What's going on? It's your boy Trigger Mike. This particular topic I am reacting to because it's something that I saw coming for months. I'm not really an agent of chaos. I'm not going to say that, oh, I knew that she was going to leave this dude, but I saw inklings of it, and we're going to get into that as I react to this video. So let's watch it and see what BS she got to say. She's doing interviews about her split. Possibly means she's trying to get out in front of it, change her image, or rather control the narrative. So let's see what she has to say.
There's so many, you're at an interesting stage or
Yes.
phase in your life, Tia, and you've spoken about this, so
Yes.
we're comfortable asking you about it. But you and your husband, like a lot of couples, decided that it was better to be lived, your life's better lived apart than together.
Yes.
How did you know?
Let me pause right there. So according to some of the stories that Corey Hardrick had put up immediately after she announced the divorce, he didn't want it and he didn't decide anything. He basically said in one of the posts that she's reacting off of emotion. So maybe they had some kind of disagreement. She said, okay, I'm finally going to go through with it. And he was not in agreement with that. I noticed that this is something that women like to do when they're trying to control the narrative and they're trying not to get backlash. I believe it usually happens when the man didn't do anything wrong enough for the public to turn against him. So the woman has to say something to the sort of, we mutually agreed, even though the man didn't agree.
That it was time.
That's a really good
to
question.
take that route?
I knew when I really started to focus on my happiness.
Here we go. Here we go with this. I'm going to just keep going.
I feel like women, we tend to focus on everybody else's happiness, making sure that everybody else is okay, meaning our children. Meaning, our children, our friends, our, family. But at the end of the day, it's about self-love. And when you start to really work on yourself, love yourself, know your value, know your worth, and then all of a sudden there's this awakening.
All right. I'm calling BS. I don't know how many times she just made a selfish statement. In a marriage, I'm married, as y'all know. In a marriage, nothing is ever really about you. You had your time to live your life by yourself. This is a woman who many people have admired. We basically have admired her most of her young life and all the way into her adulthood. So we had a picture of who we thought she was, right? But of course, she's still a celebrity. Celebrity marriages are pretty, we know how they can get. But this is, to me, is just deplorable behavior. It's deplorable speech. Everything she's saying is complete and utter BS. My happiness, focus on yourself, self-love. It's all BS. This is the modern women perpetuating these dumb tropes over and over and over into society, thinking that we're actually going to accept it. She just made statements of selfishness. Literally, she fit the most selfish terms used in our society today within 30 seconds of time. Within 30 seconds, she said things about herself. Okay, she didn't make any accusations about him as a father or anything. Self-love, you gave all that up the day you took those vows. So I do not understand this. You find a way to love yourself and stay attached to the partner because you said you were going to. But before I get too hot, let's continue the video.
And it's not easy. It's a hard journey. But at the end of the day, I feel like it is so worth it. So
Yeah, wow.
thank you.
Yeah. What I think, first of all, you could hear the people saying yes, and here, people at home are sitting thinking I feel this because marriage is hard.
It takes a lot of work.
And it also takes a lot of guts to know when you need to change something.
Yes, it really does.
It takes a lot of courage to say, this isn't working.
Yeah.
You know what? That lady, I think, Jenna Bush, she's right. It does take a lot of courage to know you need to change something. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And I'll tell you, I can do all of that and still stay married. I can do all of that. I can figure out something is wrong. I can figure out I need to change something. In fact, at the end of that change, the marriage might not even look the same. It may go into a new phase that is completely unrecognizable to me and my wife. But guess what? The goal is stay married. Okay? When you really look at the legacy part of it, when you look at the large picture, you're not really thinking about the whole you create when you leave someone. That man, I believe they've been married 14 years. He is a major part of your life. He is your children's father. You didn't think for a second how it would affect them. She's not going to say anything more than likely about him as a father, or because she'll never try to really she doesn't want his greatness or anything about him to overshadow her, so she seems wrong at any point in this discussion. Even if she mentions him as a father, it'll be quick, minimal. But let's keep going.
Was there a moment where you knew I have to do something different?
Yes, I feel like when I started to, again, like I said, focus on myself, but there was this sadness. And I knew that life is short. I had actually, lost my grandmother. We had lost Elena Housley, and both of them at the same time. There was just an aha moment in me where I said, you know what? You need to tap in, see what's really going on with your happiness. Life is short. Let's go. Let's start working on you and really focusing on what really, really matters here, which is at the end of the day, your peace, your joy, and your happiness. So I would say that. And I was in therapy as well. Yeah. I'm a huge fan of therapy.
Your peace, your joy, your happiness. Now, I'm going to just say this so I don't forget to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, when you are married, and I'm sorry, more specifically, when you are married with children, their peace, their love, their happiness is of the utmost importance. Okay, she is making selfish statement after selfish statement. And I'm just going to put it out there frankly so nobody understands my position on this, or rather misunderstands my position on this. There are very few things in this life that should cause you to leave your spouse. Very few things. And I'm well aware that marriages go through changes, they go through hardships, rocky times, and it's going to seem like you're on the brink of divorce. I understand this. Okay. I come from a family, everyone's married, and I've seen it all. Okay. Can't school me on this stuff. I've seen it all. But all of these selfish statements this woman is making, she's not considering how it's going to affect her kids, and how that eventual effect of how what's going to happen to her kids because of her divorce. She's not thinking about that, because everything she's calling peace and happiness now is going to get turned on its head once she realized that she may have potentially given her kids mental health issues. She have potentially given her kids bats with depression. They're going to want for their father, and it may seem like she's keeping them from him. If she gets full custody, she is going to forever alter the way her children look at relationships. That is a fact, a statistical fact. You are going to alter the way your kids think about marriage and meaningful relationships with the opposite sex. But she doesn't think about that when she's talking about happiness. What an idiot. Let's continue.
So it was all of that, together that gave me that, aha moment.
What were you the most afraid of stepping in? Because you're stepping in. Because some people, when you say, "Oh, my husband and I are going our separate ways," they go, "Oh no, oh that's sad." But you actually see this as
a celebration.
A celebration.
I really do. I look at it as, one of my friends, she sent this beautiful letter to me from a woman who got a divorce, and it's all about, this perspective, in my opinion, and just changing the narrative. you know, my marriage was a success.
Yeah.
I look at it as like a curriculum when you're in college or high school, right? You're learning, you're growing, you're evolving, you're creating. And I was able to create with Corey some beautiful, amazing children. Yeah. And at the end of that curriculum, and at the end, there's a graduation, there's a celebration. So that's basically, you know, how I'm looking at it now. And I feel like people look at, when they look at marriage, that success equals longevity. But no, at the end of the day, it's, are they happy? Are they thriving? Are they growing? And I feel like that is what is most important. It's not about staying in something because however long you are in that situation, that equals.
All right, I've heard enough, at least for now. Let's just tackle the BS. More BS. In fact, I'm not going to exaggerate here, ladies and gentlemen. That was the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in terms of how someone described getting a divorce. This woman is literally trying to control the narrative of her divorce to stave off embarrassment. You are already shamed in the eyes of people who know better. Tia Mowry, you are already shaming yourself. And instead of doing so in silence and going off and hoping the story dies down because you already made the mistake, you already pulled the trigger on the divorce. Keep your head down, focus on your children, focus on the relationship they're going to have with you and their father living separately. You chose to get on here and put more BS out here. Let me tell you something. Yes, this is Western culture. This is America. And all those dumbass women clapping for her. Yeah, there are plenty of those around here. But there's something else going on in America right now that I have you know. There are a lot of immigrants moving here. People who have cultural boundaries that Westerners cross. They just cross them all the time. These people have boundaries. They won't do these things that most of us Americans and Westerners are doing. They understand the order of family, the need for family, and the purpose that it plays in the lives of their children and their collective culture. So you getting on here and saying that a divorce is a celebration because you graduated from your husband, that is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life. I hope your daughter does not end up being like you. When she asks, when she wants to have a meaningful conversation about why you left her father, you are going to say, I graduated from him? You stupid fucking idiot. This is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard. Now, let's just say, let me go to something else, tone it down a little bit. She said that success is not longevity. Essentially, that's what she said. It's not that success is longevity. In marriage, success is absolutely longevity. You cannot change the narrative of what has been true since times immemorial. You cannot change that simply because you want to control the narrative in your favor, might I add. Success in marriage is actually longevity, and not longevity in the sense of just time. It is about the work two people do to prolong the marriage and what it means to each of them and what they're ultimately doing it for, whether it's your culture, whether it's your children, whether it's your legacy in total, your collective legacy. You stay married to those facts, even when it's hard to stay married to a person. You stay married to those ideals, to those virtues, because sometimes it is hard to stay married to a person. So you're doing it even when you've fallen out of love, trying to figure out the next phase of your marriage. You stay here taking care of that person because you said you were going to. That is what marriage is. You cannot just check out when the unhappiness box gets checked. I'm unhappy now. Let me impart something on any ladies that are listening to this. Do y'all realize that y'all ain't no cakewalk either? It's pretty hard to freaking deal with you. Men get cheated on. Men get disrespected, spoken to any kind of way. And less than 25% of the time do we ever leave our relationships or marriages. Less than 25% of the time. Between 70 and 80% of the time, Women are the ones that divorce. And those women are listening to BS like this, trying to carry it on and teach and get applause for it. It's absolutely deplorable. I hope her daughter ends up nothing like her. Talking about she graduated from her husband. The biggest crock of shit I've ever heard in my life.
Success. It's about really, again, are you happy? Because life is really short.
Yeah, it's like a blank.
I mean, you are. Your resilience and strength is really beautiful. And I know that one of the things you love with your kids is to travel. You have a new project.
Yes,
tell us a little bit about it.
I have an amazing partnership. I'm very excited about it. It's the Chase Marriott Convoy Boundless card partnership. And I love traveling with my kids. You know, I feel like when you travel, you learn, you grow, you learn more about myself. And, you know, the card basically empowers that traveling experience because, you know, with the card, I can earn points not only towards like hotel stays, but also like doing.
Before, this is the last part. This is the last thing we'll say on the video before we conclude. I told you at the beginning of the video that I saw this coming, and let me tell you why. And this is pretty interesting, but I'm going to make my speculation, my ultimate speculation on why they got divorced. If you know anything about her husband, he has been a struggling actor for the better part of, let's say, 20 years. You know, maybe, yeah, but the better part of 20 years, he's been a struggling actor. It is only recently did he land some major roles, and his first major role on a sitcom, I believe it's on Netflix. I believe it's that All-American show, one of the variants of that franchise. She made a statement months ago. This is where I say I saw the writings on the wall a long time ago. She made a statement about him making more for his first sitcom than she did for her first sitcom, even though I believe there is like a 25-year difference. Okay, we've known her since she was a kid. She became an actor in the 90s. I did not understand the reasoning for a wife to want to compare her first salary from 25 years ago to what her husband, who's been a struggling actor for the better part of 20 years, comparing her salary to what he makes now. I can only say you're a jealous person if you do that. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I conclude, because it was so weird to me when I heard it. Because I mean, even economically, just adjusting for inflation, it's on Netflix, which is the hot thing right now. It's not on network television. I was just looking like, what? Why would someone do that unless they were jealous? Unless they were trying to create a comparison only out of that jealousy, right? And I'm telling you right now, this is something that we're going to see more and more with modern women, and something I believe men need to watch out for. Naturally, she's been the more successful person in their marriage the entire time they've been married. And when they met, I believe they met at a bus stop. Okay? When this is going to be the dynamic, women work now. Not only do they work, I believe because women have to have more things figured out faster in their life, some of the professions that they choose, they may end up making money faster than men do. Men financially peak in their 40s. So that means that Corey Hardrick, who has spent the better part of 20 years, maybe the last 15 years, searching for that role, that high-paying gig, right? And he's been doing it. I remember he was in Battle LA. He's been getting his acting chops up. He's been keeping his head down, playing the long game, so to speak, just waiting. He didn't quit. He never quit. He's been waiting for that big role. He finally gets it. And for some reason, I personally feel like this flipped the dynamic in their relationship to him automatically being the more successful person. At least maybe that's what they were on their way to. And I believe she has a problem with that. That's why, even though she's on here taking a lengthy amount of time talking about her divorce, she wants to end with some kind of work endeavor or something that she's doing. Because I'm telling you that if there's a straw that broke the camel's back, she's saying she loves traveling with her kids, or maybe it was her trying to take the kids on this long new gig that she has, and maybe he disagreed with that. But because of the dynamic in their relationship may have changed, all of a sudden she wants to get a divorce. I want you to seriously think about that. I know all of it is speculative, but still, when you watch a woman try to control the narrative the way this woman is trying to do it, you know there is wickedness behind it. You don't graduate from your husband. You took vows. You said you were going to do it. You said you were going to be there. There is nothing that she said that even made us want to hit the emergency button and say, maybe you should exit out of that relationship. Remember, I said there are very few reasons that a man or a woman should ever leave their spouse. Very few reasons. That was not one of them. No cause for alarm here. No cause for alarm. She just wanted to do it like so many modern women do. They fail their families, they fail their children, and ultimately they fail their husband and his legacy and the promise that she made to him. I hope her daughter doesn't end up like her. Until next time, y'all. Trigger Mike. I'm out.